What's up, everyone? Welcome to Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus. I'm home today with a sick kid. Hunter is home with a little kid. So this is like, you know what? We're inviting you into our homes today. How special is that, Hunter?
It's awesome. It's great. It's like you're sitting right with us in
It
our
is.
home.
It's like you're sitting right with us in our home. I've got a dog on my lap right here. And a child that's supposed to be laying in bed sick that's sitting here watching the show. That's all right. And we are, hey, a place where you can go get some nice medicine if you're sick and on the couch.
I think I do. I think I do know that place. I think I think Fairway has a lot of options.
Fairway does. You know what? Fairway has options if you're sick, if you are healthy, if you're going out and you need something quick, if you want to stay at home and make something. All sorts of options. And they've got stuff for sneezing, which I have a sneeze worked up. It might be happening. Wait.
Uh-oh.
All right. Anyway, we're going to talk a little high school football. We were at some football this weekend, but we're going to start today, everyone, with the team that we didn't watch live because I was at Washington. Hunter was at Danville for Danville Columbus live. But we're gonna talk the only one of the three big school teams, Washington, Fairfield, Mount Pleasant, that won was the Mount Pleasant Panthers, and because of the wonders of technology, I was able to catch a little bit of that when I got home on replay. Mount Pleasant went down to Fort Madison.
Thank you for streaming.
For a very late Bloodhound homecoming. Panthers survived quite a scare, Hunter. Mount Pleasant needed to win this game to have any shot this weekend at sneaking into the playoffs. We'll get into this more. They might have had to win by more because of the tiebreakers. The fact that I won by a couple might have hurt them a little bit. But Panthers 16, Bloodhounds 14.
Oh no.
Dogs barking. The Bloodhounds are a dog team, and dogs don't like to hear it. They lose to cats. But that's exactly what happened. Dylan White, soccer star. We talk about him on this show a lot during the spring shows. He hits a 30-yard clutch. Did you watch the field goal? There's my child.
Yeah, it was a bomb, too. He was good from at least 40, 45.
Yeah, that was he nailed that thing. And then he told we got quotes. We trade quotes sometimes with the Hawkeye, and Matt Levens at the Hawkeye asked him if he was nervous, and he said, "Nah, I'm cold as ice."
Ooh,
but he
wait, he said that?
Yeah, he did say that. It's
That's
in the story for them and us. So he hits that one to win 16-14.
Cold as ice. I love that.
The Panthers were down 14-7. In the fourth quarter, they blocked a punt. William Birdsell blocked a punt, and he sprung absolutely loose and blocked it. That was one. If he just got it on a different angle, it could have been like a scoop and score. But the way it bounced, Mount Pleasant just got the ball at the 30. They scored. Merrick Lamb caught a touchdown pass from Zach Newton, and then the extra point, which would have tied the game. This is with only a few minutes left. It was blocked, so White had a chance to tie the game, and he had his extra point blocked earlier. And then defense holds. Panthers started the game-winning drive at the 17-yard line. The very first play, Peyton Walker just caught some space on a run play and dashed all the way to the 40. And then they had to convert a fourth down as well. Avon Twong had to catch a fourth down pass, so that set up the big field goal. They win. And Panthers now 4-4 overall, and they are still alive in the district. They need a lot of stuff to go their way. The big one, obviously, is they have to beat Assumption this weekend. Right now, Assumption is not locked in, but they're settled in right now as the number 2 spot after beating Washington. So for that one, Mount Pleasant to stay alive, they are needing a big win over Assumption, and then some RPI stuff probably.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough too, especially with what Assumption did to Washington. gonna be a tough
And
match.
Keokuk just won just last week too.
Yeah,
They've
I
been
know.
kind of running a rough shot.
Yeah, so we'll see what Friday brings. Anything can happen.
Yep. And then Fairfield, you weren't at Fairfield. But they had a really tough game against Solon.
Yep.
Tell me what happened with the Trojans.
Yeah, I mean, Fairfield, heading up to Solon. The Spartans are ranked number 10. Obviously, we know that they were ranked. We talked about it. They were ranked number 1 just 2 weeks prior. Obviously, a bit of a slide. So, kind of knew they were going to come into this one hungry. And I believe it was their senior night. So, the previous number 1 team in the class came out with with kind of a vengeance after those 2 losses. The Trojans struggled to get anything going. They went scoreless through the first half, and then on the opposite side, the Spartans kind of scored points in bunches in the early stages of the game. Ended up scoring 20 in the first quarter, and then added 28 more. Got even better in the second. It was 48-0 at the half. Fairfield really never had an answer. Ethan Bisgard did rush for 2 touchdowns in the second half, and Voss Richardson had one as well, but wasn't really enough to get back into it with how that Spartan offense was moving. Bisgard led Fairfield with 88 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Zandrick Allison finished with 86 rushing yards, and Luke Consul had 45 yards on the ground as well. Richardson, 66 yards for the year and 21 on the ground with the 1 score. Dylan Adam finished with 2 catches for 36 yards. Bisgard and Allison each had a catch for 15 yards. Luke Consul, 12.5 tackles defensively. And then Fairfield will close its regular season on Friday, this Friday against Grinnell, another tough opponent in that district. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
tough,
that's
pretty tough matchup for a solid Spartan team there.
yeah, and you knew that Fairfield, they had the toughest district probably of anyone, and so they are mathematically done playoff wise. So that will be their last game this weekend.
Yep.
Now back to where I was physically. I was at Washington. Washington is playing Mount Vernon, 4th ranked team in Class 3, a huge, just like Fairfield, a ranked team. The big favorites in district play. If Washington could have won this one, it would have set up a 3-way tie between Washington, Mount Vernon, and Assumption, which would have basically locked Washington at this point into a playoff spot. But Mount Vernon looked really good at the beginning of this game. It was 42-7 at the end of the first half of play. Assumption scored 22 points in the first quarter, 20 in the second quarter, and 2 of those touchdowns were in the last couple of minutes, including a Hail Mary from just beyond the 50 that landed right in the hands of a Mount Vernon receiver right in the back of the end zone. And so that put Washington down 35-7 at halftime, and that was despite Washington's one score was a pick 6 by Cale Williams, which went down as 92 yards officially. I thought it was more like 95. But there's like a little swing pass that kind of popped out of someone's hands, and he caught it right perfectly on the sideline and dashed down the sideline. So 92-yard pick 6, it's got to be, there's not very many longer pick 6s. So I figured that's probably in the Washington record books. And Logan McDowell had 2 interceptions in the first half. So they picked off Mount Vernon 3 times in the half. But they're down 35, so the running clock started in the third quarter. But Washington did play pretty well in the second half. Scored twice. McDowell scampered for a touchdown pass that cut off the running clock, so there's a little more time. They scored on a passing touchdown later in the game. And so it was 42-21, and Washington actually had the ball inside the 15, inside the 10 maybe, right at the end, but a pick at the goal line kind of ended that for the Demons. So they almost cut it down to 2 possessions, which would have been big. And actually, speaking of the 17-point tiebreaker, so what's going to happen if Mount Pleasant or if Washington can go into Fort Madison and get a win, which I think that's still a road game against a close quarter team, so we'll see on that. If they can beat Fort Madison and then Mount Pleasant can upset Assumption on Friday night, That'll set up a three-way tie for second place, which the tiebreaker is point differential in district games. Right now, Assumption is sitting pretty. If you go to the standings on the association's website, you can see those. So Assumption's sitting really good. It looks like they'd get the 2 seed no matter what. I'm sure they'll play with just as much fervor either way. But Washington does have an outside chance at that. And then depending on how the RPI works out, Washington obviously has a little bit of a better chance than Mount Pleasant at sneaking in with an RPI spot. So it's all very confusing, Hunter.
Yeah, it gets kind of jumbled up and like with the wins, losses, how they play in effect, especially when you're in contention for that last at-large spot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see, because there's an at-large spot in class, like in the upper classes, right? And then, well, there's also an at-large spot in 2A and stuff like that, or 1A, and it kind of gets confusing after a while.
Yeah. So what happens is in class 3A, which is where Fairfield, Mount Pleasant, and Washington are, the top 2 for every district go. So there's 6 districts. Yeah, 6 districts. So that's 12 teams. So first and second place go. So let's assuming that unless Washington wins by over 17, and I think Assumption would have to lose to Mount Pleasant by over 17, and I still don't know how that'll work out. I'll have to check that out. That would be the only time that Washington could pass Assumption, which that's a normal rule, top 2. But then the at-large is all RPI, and there are 4 at-large spots for those RPI teams. I wish the at-large spots were more based on standings. The RPI is okay, I guess, but it's a confusing thing right now. Washington is at number 20 in the RPI in 3A, and Mount Pleasant is 25. So if the magic that needs to happen, actually, so Washington, even though they wouldn't be tied for second if Mount Pleasant won, they probably would rather. They'd probably rather Assumption win that game. Where's Assumption in the RPI? Assumption is they have to be higher than these guys. Where the heck is? Oh, they're 23. So they're right there with them. But that doesn't really matter because it's the point differential for the second place. But let's say Washington and Mount Pleasant both win. Then Washington has a win over Fort Madison, which is the last place team in the RPI. So even though they win, that hurts them on the RPI standings. And then, so you just don't know. It's confusing, and both teams right now are kind of just on the outside looking in. But all the other games that happen play a factor in that too. So it's very confusing.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out come Saturday, because all those pairings will be released Saturday morning. So
yes,
we'll see how the results shake out in that district.
That's a good segue, Hunter, because we do know about the other districts, and you're going to tell us. Why don't you start with
go through the roundup first?
Yeah, go through the rundown. Who won? Who lost? Small school. You were at Columbus Danville, so you can tell me that one was a crazy one.
English Valleys too.
Oh, that's right. You doubled up.
But Columbus Danville was a wild game. For this matchup, it was both teams are already in the postseason, but this matchup kind of decided was where they were slotted with a 3 seed or a 2 seed. That's kind of the biggest implications of this one, but based on district finish, I guess I should say, because they're in the same district. But anyway, fantastic game. Danville ends up winning in overtime, 31-24. Final regular season game of the season, obviously, as we mentioned, 2A, 1AA, and 8-player are all in postseason mode now. But from this one, Columbus trailed 10-0 at the half. The second half was, I don't know, it was like a different team out there. But in the second half, the Wildcats came storming back on 3 rushing touchdowns from Riley Kalberg. Kalberg had one of the craziest rushing stat lines I've ever seen outside of 8-player games. But they ended up leading 18-16 heading into the fourth quarter. Wildcats extended that advantage on the first play of the fourth quarter. Kalberg had an 81-yard touchdown run to make it 24-16, but they could not contain the Bears on the other end. With 9:14 to play, a one-handed snag by a Bears receiver set up a 2-yard touchdown run to tie it up, and the two teams traded turnovers after that to end regulation. And then Danville got the ball first in overtime, scored a touchdown, and then a Wildcat turnover ended it. Columbus got the ball down to the Danville 5-yard line, fumbled, turned it over, and Danville gets that win, moving them up a spot in the district standings. Mentioned Kalberg on the ground. Ran the ball 29 times for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns. I saw 360 yards, and I'm like, man, that's ridiculous. He also had one pass. What's that?
So that's crazy, but sometimes that's what you got to do. Something that works.
I mean, he was just breaking off big play after big play on the ground. They were creating some holes out there for him, but usually when you see that, you think you probably win. But kudos to Danville. They got a nice. After coming back from a couple years of having their own team, they've got a pretty solid team over there. They like to throw the ball. They're pretty good at passing the ball. But Kalberg also had a 30-yard catch in the game. Trevor Phillips, 81 passing yards for Columbus. Drew Totemeyer with 10 tackles for Columbus. And then, as I mentioned, Columbus is in the playoffs. And after I read this, I'll go through what teams in our smaller school area went punched a ticket to the first round in their class. But as I mentioned at the New London game, New London, pretty dominant game, 56-22 over English Valleys to end their season. They did not win enough games to get in to the postseason. The Tigers scored on the Bears in bunches early on. I mean, Gavin Minka-Bailey had 3 first-quarter touchdowns. Third one was a pass to Logan Franklin. And then after a fumble recovery in the end zone, the Tigers took a 28-0 lead after the first quarter. Only tacked it on from there on out. Ended up being 42-0 at the half. English Valley's never had an answer. Minka-Bailey threw for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rushed for 65 and 2 scores as well. London Franklin, 117 yards, 2 scores on the ground. Logan Franklin led in receiving with 2 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. Pekin, who's in the playoffs, 58-0 over Louisa Muscatine. I'm just going to run through the scores the rest of the way. Sigourney Coda's in the playoffs, 79-6 over Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont. Winfield Mount Union, 58-18 over HLV. Mid Prairie, 42-7 over Albia. Highland, 43-0 over Wapello. That's the final game of their season. Pleasantville beats Cardinal, 56-13. End of Cardinal's season. Lisbon, 49-0 over Van Buren County. End of the Warriors season there. And that is all from the small school roundup. Jumping over into the Iowa High School 2024 football playoff matchups for 2A, 1A, Class A, and 8 player. 6 teams from the Union area, small school. Those teams being Mid Prairie in Class 2A, Sigourney Keota in 1A, Pekin and Columbus in Class A, and Waco and Winfield Mount Union in 8 player. So got some teams advancing to the first round of the postseason here.
Oh, wait.
I didn't know if you wanted to jump in. I was going to jump in.
Oh, no, I'll jump in. I'll jump in between. I know the answer, but I was waiting in anticipation. We'll go. You mentioned a game, and then we'll each give a little thought on it. How about that?
Yeah, in the first round for for Mid Prairie, in their first round, they're going to take on Union Community. Mid Prairie, 3 straight losses to start the season. Haven't lost since. Ended up coming all the way back to win their district. So, and really none of the games were even close. So Mid Prairie is one of those teams that all 3 of those losses at the beginning of the season came against ranked opponents, and they were all 1-score games. So very well, if you look at it that way, Mid Prairie could have been undefeated the entire season, and they started out ranked in the preseason. So I think Mid Prairie, if you're a team that's going to be facing Mid Prairie, be a little hesitant about playing the Golden Hawks, because although they have the 3 losses, very well those 3 losses could have been wins. So Mid Prairie definitely one of our top teams heading into postseason play. Yeah,
Mid Prairie. That's one of our. I don't know if you were to ask me who has the best chance of the dome, they would be close with a team you're probably going to say here in a second, Sigourney Keota.
Yep, Sigourney Keota is taking on West Branch. Obviously, oh, and by the way, Mid Prairie, Sagre, Dakota both hosting the games because they're higher seed as well as Pekin. We'll get to them, but Sagre, Dakota
Yep.
taking a West Branch, probably the hottest team in the area. Sagre, Dakota, one loss on the season. That loss was pretty handedly to I believe PCM still top. I think number 2 in the state.
Yeah, I think they're still number two.
It was pretty handedly to them at the first game of the season, but Sagre, Dakota hasn't not lost since then, and pretty much been dominant in all facets of the game. The game they had besides that one was besides the loss, closest win that they had was against Mid Prairie. So Sagre, Dakota, another team that's kind of seems like they're always there in the end, and a team you definitely can't take lightly on if you're an opposing opponent.
Yes, and note on that, Sigourney Kyoto and Mid Prairie both host this week, and then with wins, they would both host next week as well. So
Right.
they would get 2 home games for being the district champions. So they're in good position right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And both those teams were top seeds because of their districts finished.
yeah.
Pekin finished second in its district, but still will play host to Northland. Out of all the teams that are top seeds hosting somebody, Pekin getting Northland is probably the toughest opponent of a team that's hosting, I'd say. Northland does have 2 losses, but both of those losses are against quality opponents, and Northland's a pretty solid team. So out of all the games, we probably expect this one probably to be the closest, I'd say. I don't know what your take is on it, but I think this should be actually a pretty good game just because Northland is pretty solid themselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is going to be probably this is the worst draw, but I think that Pekin would still be favored in this game. But I think this is going to be a very close game, and that is the reason that that will be one of the games that we will be at physically, me or you, this Friday night. So that might be one of the better games in the state of Iowa.
Mm-hmm. And then Columbus, as mentioned, them getting in. They probably have the toughest matchup out of any of our teams. They head to Maquoketa Valley, one loss Maquoketa Valley, and Maquoketa Valley, ranked team, really solid opponent. It's going to be a tough one for the Wildcats over there.
Yeah, Maquoketa Valley is good. Now remember, if they want any extra motivation, remember that I have a personal vendetta against Maquoketa Valley because they tried not to let me into that basketball game like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a real tough one. And that was a big part about the fact they didn't beat Danville was they get the 4 seed. You have to play a district champion. Yeah, exactly. They have the biggest mountain to climb, in my opinion, of all 6 of the teams.
I agree. Next up, we got Waco, starting off the 8th player. Waco finished second, but they're going to hit the road this time, which is a tough, just a tough kind of way that how the postseason gets laid out, even though you're second seed and you've beat this team before. So Waco's heading to Central City. Obviously, these 2 teams played first game of the season. Waco came out on top on that one, 51-36. So tough draw for the Warriors, who finished second in the district. But as I said, they beat Central City the first time. Could be a good thing. Could be a tough thing, knowing that the team knows what you're going to do. But I mean, both teams know what you're going to do. So I guess it's kind of just. I think you kind of wash away what happened at the beginning of the season in some regard, but I think this has the potential to be a pretty good game. But it started out as a really good game when they played the first game of the season. But Waco has the edge, at least regarding the win-loss against the Wildcats here. So Waco heading to Central City.
Yeah, I don't know what the logic was on Central City getting. I guess because they're the same seed. They're both second place teams, and the non-district thing doesn't matter, even if you are playing a team that you played in the non-district. So Waco and Central City. Was that one at Waco? No.
What?
Was that one? Did you go to that game?
Yeah, I was at that one.
Oh yeah, there you go. I didn't realize that. And then, and Waco blew it open in like the second and third quarter, right?
Yeah.
So
maybe where Winfield had to go to Don Bosco last year, even though Don Bosco had like 2 losses and Winfield had no losses, and it was kind of like
that was the Yeah, that was the alphabetical order thing.
Oh yeah,
Which
that's
I
right.
guess,
That's right.
so that would help so the teams that are further up in alphabetical order are helped this year on that. That actually might be a blessing for like Sigurd Kyoto, who's an S, when it gets to the third round if they make it. But yeah, I'd say for Waco, it's like part of it is probably um, like this stink because we have to go on the road and we could have had a home game. But at the same time, if you're gonna play a playoff game, I think that playing a team that you've already beaten would be somewhat calming, even if it was so long ago.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
And then finally, we've got Winfield Mount Union, who is probably outside of Columbus at Maquoketa Valley. Winfield probably has the next toughest task. Obviously, being a 3 seed in their district, they're going to head to top seeded Montezuma. Let me see here. Yeah, top seeded Montezuma in their first matchup. So, one loss Montezuma, another pretty stout opponent that Winfield Mount Union is going to play. But Winfield Mount Union got some playmakers on that team. A team with a lot of experience from last year making deep runs. So, never know what could happen.
Yeah, and then not only that, but so Winfield Union and Montezuma have played too, except this was when Jake Edwards was hurt for Winfield.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So they did not play Montezuma fully healthy. I'm trying to go through here and see who else was hurt. Looks like Ginkinger was playing in that game. But I mean, you don't have your starting quarterback. Obviously, that's a thing. And when Jake was hurt, Montezuma did beat him 55-14. Let's see. In the beginning of this game, it was 14-6 after 1, 35-14 after 2. So you think it'd be closer when you have your QB1 playing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm really gonna have my eye on because both the 8-player situations are kind of spicy situations. The fact that both of our 8-player teams have already played the team that they're playing. Yeah, just just year, of course, Winfield hung 70 on Montezuma in a game. So Montezuma looking for double revenge. But yeah, there were some intriguing matchups between the Pekin matchup, the Waco matchup, and the Winfield matchup. Those were very intriguing teams for each of them to draw.
I know. I agree. It's going to be a fun-filled Friday night.
Yes. So we'll have those 6 games. We'll have Fairfield at Grinnell and Washington at Fort Madison. Mount Pleasant's game against Assumption at home has some postseason implications. So I guess technically Washington's at Fort Madison does too, but not in the same way. And then our 6 playoff games. So we'll have 9 games this weekend, and it's going to be a little wild. Speaking of wild, when we come back from commercial, we're going to talk a little volleyball, and the playoffs. The regional tournaments are fully underway at this point, besides a couple of our 2A teams, and we're going to talk about that. Well, we're going to talk about that after this commercial, and I'm going to explain some things. So stay tuned.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Introducing Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every meal is a delight. Start your day with our mouthwatering breakfast options and savor flavorful lunches with friends and family. Cap off your day with our delectable dinners. Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every moment is delicious.
The Connie and Amanda team is dedicated to giving back to our community by actively engaging with our clients, businesses, and the public. When it comes to helping you find your next home, investment, or commercial space, the Connie and Amanda team is here for you.
Washington County Hospital and Clinics, providing quality health care that puts you first. Whether during a hospital stay, seeing a primary care provider for wellness exams or sick visits, minor surgery to a total joint replacement, or recovering from an injury, we're here when you need us.
More than you expect for your health care. Washington County Hospital and Clinics.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports. Plus, we're talking a little volleyball. Hunter and I were at... Oh, I promised before commercial that I was going to explain something. Let me explain something. Hunter and I are about to talk some volleyball, all right? I know... Clean my camera off a little bit. I know that you're sitting there on Thursday probably watching this show. There were games on Wednesday night. We are recording this on Wednesday. So for our 2A fans, our Van Buren County fans, our Cardinal fans, you saw Mr. Hunter last night at your volleyball game. That will not be talked about in this because this is from the past before that game. So we're only talking about the games that have happened in real life to us that we know what happened. So we're going to start with the 3A, 4A regionals that happened last night. Hunter, you were at Washington. You were actually watching a game that I had watched in the regular season, Washington and Mediapolis. When I was there, Washington sweat, but they struggled in all three. They nipped them in all three. But what happened when you were there last night?
Yeah, I mean, Washington probably, in my opinion, peaking at the right time. The past couple weeks now, they've been playing probably some of their best volleyball season. Obviously, they won the conference tournament after getting swept by Burlington. They come back to beat Burlington to win the conference title. Last night looked solid once again. 3-0 sweep of Meepo this time, but a little more dominant fashion than when you saw them in the regular season. I ended up being 25-12, 25-11, and then 25-20 in the three sets there. Early on, Washington leapt out to a 10-2 lead. They'd never give it up. Kills from Leighton Messenger and Layla Green pushed the Demons' lead to 11 at 15-4, and the Bullets never really had an answer. The Demons led by as much as 13, 21-8 after an ace from Lauren Hendrickson, and to end it, Messenger and Taylor Misch notched kills, and then an ace from Ruby Withoff ended that first set. In the second, Mediapolis was able to keep it a little close early on, but Washington, the firepower was too great once again. After leading by 6 at 13-7, the Demons closed with a 12-4 run to end it. A pair of kills from Green and then one from Messenger, and Ella Griner closed out that set. Set 3 was much closer. In the end, the two squads tied 4 times in the early stages of the frame, but then Washington kind of looked like they were going to run away with it. Built a 10-point advantage at 19-9, but Mediapolis didn't give up on it. They were able to get back within 4 at 24-20, but with Washington match point and how they've been playing, it was all, that deficit was too great with being at match point. So Messenger tallied the game winner there and punches Washington's ticket to the semifinal. Ella Griner led Washington with 13 kills. Leighton Messenger with 11, Taylor Misch 9, and Layla Green 7. Ruby Withoff 4 aces to lead the Demons. They're now 18-15 on the season, and they will head to Davenport Assumption on Thursday for the Region 5 semifinal. I tell you what, it seems like every single year one of our teams has to play Davenport Assumption. I know that I've been there, I think, 2 times in the past three years. And
Yes.
one time was Mid-Prairie, and then I went there another time. What was that for? I can't even remember.
I think Washington might have played them a couple years ago.
Washington did play them in softball. I remember that.
You're at Assumption a lot. I'm at Assumption at OKM too, which is upsetting because Assumption's far away from us. But
I know. But yeah, tough matchup for the Demons. Assumption's always a solid team. So, Anything can happen though, because Washington's been playing some stellar volleyball as of late. So I'm really really intrigued by this matchup.
Yeah, me too. They're at the next level right now. Washington is. So we'll see how that works out for the Demons. And what was the next thing yes. I was at Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant in the 4A bracket played Fort Madison, a team that they had played a couple different times. You watched them have a close game at the conference tournament with Fort Madison, really close. And this one, Mount Pleasant wins this in 4 sets. They won the first 2 sets. Mount Pleasant looked really good. They controlled both of them. Mount Pleasant wins the first one 25-20 and the second one 25-19. I mean, it was looking good. Both of those sets were ended with thunderous kills. I think we had there's a block. Alex Scott block clinched the first game, a block that went straight down on the other side for a point, and then an Addison Clark kill into the second game. All the momentum was with Mount Pleasant. It's looking like maybe a quick night, despite the fact that these guys had played close so many times beforehand. Set 3, Fort Madison wakes up big time. You could kind of tell in the first 2 sets, even though Mount Pleasant was playing very well, they had to earn a lot of the points. They weren't getting like aces, and Fort Madison was making a few mistakes, but Mount Pleasant acted to be pretty sharp. And then in the third set, Fort Madison even got better at just like the scrambling and the saving. Fort Madison was up 10-4 at one point. Addison Peck had a couple of aces to bring it to a 13-11, and then Fort Madison went back up 7, 20-13. And then I have Mount Pleasant got it to 23-22, and so you thought maybe they'll pull this one out. Fort Madison closes it out 25-22, and then in set 4, Fort Madison was up 7-2, so it looked like it was going into 5. Mount Pleasant comes back. Then it's a nice back and forth battle, and it ends 26-24. Zoe Atkinson, a senior who didn't start but played a lot in the last 2 sets. So it was 24-24. Fort Madison just tied it, and a serve just bounced outside the line to give to give Mount Pleasant the 1 point lead. Then on set point and game point, Atkinson served it, and it hit perfectly right in the corner of like Fort Madison let it go like, oh, I think that one's out, and it hits perfectly in the corner to finish it off. So Mount Pleasant escapes in 4. Panthers will go to Clear Creek Amana. Mount Pleasant's currently 12-25, and Clear Creek Amana is 35-7. Clear Creek's very good. So that will be on Thursday, same as the Washington game. And then real quickly, Fairfield played at Wilton, a very good team, as everyone knows. They're in Mid-Prairie's conference, and they've played a lot of big games. And Fairfield lost the first one 25-10. They lost all 3, but they improved each time. 25-20 in set 2, 25-22 in set 3. Looks like Fairfield does have stats for this one available. So Lily Bergeron, 7 kills in her final high school game. Faith Jones dishes out 15 assists, 3 kills for Jaden Haynes. She's only a sophomore. She'll be a huge part of this team here pretty soon. Bergeron led with 12 digs, Jones with 11. And then let's see if they got any service aces. They had 2, both from Olivia Hollander, another senior, playing their last game. So seniors for Fairfield's a junior-dominated team, but seniors that saw the floor for the last time last night: Lily Bergeron, Grace Lyon, Jolie Cryle, and Olivia Hollander. So they'll have a lot of talent coming back next year. But Fairfield are first of our 3 big schools to be eliminated. And Hunter, you were at a rare win for our small schools. Our small schools took a beating 2 nights ago. Mm-hmm. You were at one of the wins, though. Winfield Mount Union. I didn't hear much. I got to hear more details about this game.
Yeah, Winfield Mount Union taking on Lone Tree in the first round of the 1A Region 2 bracket. Started out, high note win for the for the Wolves. Ended up winning 3-1 over the Lions. Took the first set 25-21, fell in the second set 25-23, but then it was all WMU after that, 25-13, 25-10. And those final two sets there. In set one, Winfield Mount Union jumped out to a 10-3 lead. Lone Tree just continued to battle, though. Slowly but surely, Lions got back into it, but they could never gain the lead. Two teams were separated by just 1 point at 11-10, 15-14, 17-16, and then late 22-21. But WM was able to take that first set after a Lone Tree hitting air and a pair of kills from Josie Nelson and Kaylin Townsley, putting them up 1-0 there. Set two, little different. It was all Lone Tree early on. A 7-0 run by the Lions put them up 13-4 midway through the match. Much like Lone Tree in that first set, though, WMU battled back. The Wolves chipped away, and after kills from Townsley and Kinley Buffington, the game was knotted at 15-15. 3 serves later, and the Wolves took their first lead, 17-16, and that was their first lead since it was 1-0 at the beginning of that second set. But from that point on, the Wolves and Lions tied 5 times. Last tie coming at 23-23, and then Lone Tree was able to secure it with back-to-back points and giving it or making the match 1-1. And then, as I mentioned, all Winfield Mount Union after that. So despite giving up that second set, just dominant in those final two. WMU jumped out to an 8-1 lead in the third set after a slew of kills from Buffington. The rest of the way, the Wolves built leads of 12-6, 18-8, and then 20-9. Never looked back from that on out. They even got better in the final set. The Wolves created leads of 14-2 and 18-5, and that was more than enough to get the job done. So Kelly Milks led WMU with 19 kills, Kinley Buffington 12 kills, and Josie Nelson 7. Madison Kellogg 38 assists. Nelson led in digs with 27. She also had 6 aces, and then Pacey Schleal with 17 digs as well. So Wolves improved 13-10 on the season. Really tough matchup for them. Tonight, they're going to head down to Holy Trinity Catholic, who is top 5 ranked team, obviously state runner-up last year. Always has been always one of the top teams in the state, seems, for like 10 plus years now, since I was even in high school. So it's going to be a tough one for the Wolves.
Yeah, that's usually the doomsday game going to Holy Trinity. A very tough place to play to.
And one thing I will say about this WMU team, they lose just a couple seniors, but
just 2. I think 2.
Just I think it's Josie Nelson and Shalil. I think that's the only seniors.
Yep, Shalil, yeah.
Aside from that, this team I think has the potential to be make some noise next year. They got some good pieces.
I agree.
They look they look pretty good. Obviously, Kinley Buffington coming in as a freshman, and she can already hammer the ball. You can tell she's kind of raw right now, being a freshman. But man, once they get that, once they get it figured out, and you have some of those girls playing at the varsity level for a couple years now, going to be seniors next year. I think they have a good shot to be pretty solid.
Yeah, I saw them at the New London tournament. We randomly have seen Winfield volleyball like 4 times in the past 5 days, but not 5 days. But we missed them for the first month and a half of the season, and we've seen them a lot lately. But that New London tournament, Buffington had a couple where she got up, and it was like, oh man, that's a freshman hitting those. We already knew that that Milks was a very solid hitter at the net. So while you were at Winfield, I was in Wapello, where New London, who had been playing well, actually beat Winfield. Had been playing pretty well, relatively to the rest of their season in the last couple of weeks. They went to Wapello, fell in all 3 sets, improved in each, but could never take one down. First one was 25-10, and that first set was a disaster. Right off the bat, it was they spotted them, I think, 10 points immediately. So they were playing from way behind. Lost 25-10. The second set was close till about midway through, and then Wapello pulled away 25-12. And then the third set was a lot closer, and Wapello still kind of ended on a streak to win out in 25-15. Wapello's obviously got a lot of really good athletes. That's why they won the North Division. I think they only lost 1 set in the North. For New London, though, Morgan Jones had 5 kills. Mason Nelson, speaking of good freshman, she had 4 for the Tigers. Digs-wise, the leader was Jones, but Kayla Strawhacker had 13. Sorry, the leader was Lily Gallup. Strawhacker, 13. Jones, 12. didn't have any service aces. And then Mason Nelson led them with 7 assists. And New London is a team that has a good amount of seniors. Shaylee Brotherston, Haley Dudley, Strawhacker, Jones, Gallup, all playing their last games in a New London uniform. And then that particular bracket, which is Class 1A Region 2, we also lost Waco, who fell to Notre Dame. We also lost, so Winfield is in that bracket. So we lost Waco. We also lost Highland, who fell at home to North Cedar. That one was a really close one, 25-17. North Cedar in the first one, then Highland won 25-22, and then North Cedar won the next two, 25-22 and 25-23. So both very close. We did have Hillcrest Academy move on. That was a game where one of our teams was playing one of our teams, Hillcrest and Keota. Hillcrest beats Keota 25-13, 25-13, 25-13. Same score all three. Hillcrest still will be playing. They will be playing tonight, which means if you're watching this, they played last night. So check check the newspaper. They played Belle Plaine tonight. Or last night if you're watching this on Thursday. That could be a good one. And then if they win, they will most likely go to North Tama on the 28th. That would be regional semis. So they're one of our teams that has a chance at the regional semis. And then as I mentioned earlier, 2A fans, your game happened in this time warp where we're recording on Wednesday before the games, and they're about to happen. So Hunter will be there tonight. So we'll bring you that, and then Thursday night, Mid Prairie will be playing against Albia. Mid Prairie cruised through their first game last night, and that's in the 3A bracket. Actually, maybe I should click on the Mid Prairie bracket. What do you think about that? Because I don't think we talked much about them. They beat Davis County 25-9, 25-11, 25-11 last night. They're playing Albia, which is a good team, at Mid Prairie. Of course, if they win that, they will stay at Mid Prairie, and they will play either Wilton or West Liberty, which is two teams that they played. So those will be fun. And then, as we said, Washington Assumption is Thursday night, and Mount Pleasant, Clear Creek, Amana. So hopefully we have plenty of teams left, but it is it's going to be a battle.
Yeah, there's some tough roads for some of those teams.
Oh, by the way, if you rewind the show a couple weeks back, or maybe 3 weeks back, I was talking about the pairings, and I said that Van Buren County and Cardinal play each other every single year first round. And what first round game are you going to tonight, Hunter?
I will be going to Van Buren County, taking on Cardinal.
Yes. So I was correct as usual. Now I'm. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit of cross country. Not too much because I'm on my way to cross country here in a second. So stick with us.
Attention Hy-Vee shoppers, introducing Hy-Vee Perks, your ticket to exclusive savings and rewards. Access exclusive perks, prices, earn gas discounts, and unlock special deals. All this for free. Join Hy-Vee Perks today and start saving.
At Seafirst Credit Union, we're all about making connections, like how we connect you to that dream vacation with a savings account designed to help get you on the flight there. Connect with Seafirst today and see why together is better.
Family-friendly Halloween treat. Visit the Midwest Haunted Rail. Unlimited rides on the Ghost Train, trolley, and carousel, blow-ups, and carnival ride, all for one low price. Kids 4 and under free. Scare up some fun at Midwest Haunted Rails, McMillan Park, Mount Pleasant.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast Iowa.
And we're back, Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus. Mr. Hunter, I was at the Southeast Conference cross-country meet on last Thursday. It's been a whole week. Week flies, Hunter. You want to know how? You want to know how? For all you people, you could be upset because this is on Thursday. The first state qualifiers happened on Wednesday, which I'm going to right now. But we're going to tell you about the conference cross-country meet. We'll talk about state qualifiers, and we'll have a full-on state cross-country preview next week. But, Hunter, I'm going to tell you what happened in the SEC cross-country meet. You ready for this?
Hit me.
Leading in, Fort Madison, Washington were battling all year in girls and boys cross-country. A little splitteroonie here. In the girls' race, which is the one that happened first, Fort Madison knocks off Washington for that top spot. Bloodhounds just had a million girls after the first couple of runners all run together. Fort Madison 21, Washington 42, Mount Pleasant 4th, and Fairfield 5th. But guess what? A solo conference champion, Iris Dahl of Washington, the first time she has won the solo SEC championship, and she won it by a pretty dang good margin. She finishes in 19 minutes, 32.5 seconds ahead of Avery Rump, last year's champion, who was a good 33 seconds behind her. So Iris looked really, really strong. In fact, even when she crossed the finish line, I was there at the finish line, and she just kind of was like, anybody got any water? She didn't even do the whole pass out and the heavy breathing thing. So she looked pretty strong there. And then also in the top 10, so there was a bunch of Fort Madison girls. And then Quintry Leah, freshman for Mount Pleasant, she finishes 6th, her best race of the year, in my opinion. And then more Fort Madison. And then also other top 10s, Lauren Horak of Washington, Olivia Anderson of Washington, and Kendall Hendrickson of Washington get 8th, 9th, and 10th. That helped Washington get second by a long shot there. So the top 2 finished for the Demons. In the boys' race, the Washington Demons by 5 points, Mr. Hunter. They get it done against Fort Madison. 28 for Washington, 33 for Fort Madison. There are a lot of there were a lot of Washington and a lot of Fort Madison in these top 10. Andrew Reese and Tyler Alderton 1-2. Reese gets it done. The 3rd straight championship for the Reese family. Alderton had some jokes in the post game. The fact that this was his one chance to win the SEC title because Micah had beaten the last couple of years, and they've been beating each other. You know, they've been trading wins with each other this year, and Andrew got the best of him this time around. He wins with a final score time of 16 minutes 23.1 seconds. Alderton 16:49.2. Then a bunch of Fort Madison. Parker Shantz of Washington, he's their 3rd runner across. He is not projected to be their 3rd runner across. He gets 6th. And then Ethan Hotchkiss gets 9th. Sawyer Shantz gets 10th. Hopefully, if you look at our Twitter right now, hopefully you're getting news. Now, right now, as in right now when you guys watch this, not right now for me and Hunter. Hopefully you're getting news about some state qualifiers from Mount Pleasant, Washington, and Fairfield, Washington obviously has a pretty good shot even to get teams, especially boys team tonight. So we'll see how that, or today, we'll see how that happens. Hopefully when you check that, that's what my Twitter says. But yeah. And of course it's getting cold, Hunter.
Yeah. Left the windows open last night. Woke up a little chilly this morning. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, you like the cold more than I do. I'm gonna Google right now. I'm gonna Google Pella, Iowa hourly forecast. See what it's gonna be at exactly 4 p.m. when this race starts. No, it's gonna be like 60, about 60.
Oh,
wear a sweater.
Bring a jacket.
We're bringing a jacket. Cold weather. Let's see who the cold weather runners are. We definitely didn't see that last week because it was nice and warm.
You saw last year at State, you saw some cold weather runners.
I hope it's not again this year at State. I'm already stressing about it. So cold. And then somebody reminded me that the State is still split up 1A and 2A, or 1 day and 2 and 3A and 4A another day. That's just bull crap, man.
Yeah. It's tough
I have to figure that out. It's tough for people like me and Hunter. Next week when we get back to him, Hunter, we're gonna have a lot of news.
Oh, ton of news. We're gonna have football season's gonna be even more almost over, and then volleyball.
State cross country on Saturday.
State cross country volleyball is gonna be close to being over too.
I think we'll have the regional finals will be done. The regional finals will be done by the next show.
Yeah, we will know who's in state the next time we talk to you guys.
Hopefully a couple of our teams.
Yep.
So stay tuned. See
By the way,
game.
Don't know if this is breaking news, but might as well announce it. Wells Fargo Arena is no more.
We're going to Casey's.
We're going to Casey's.
Hunter, you just won the regional basketball final. What are you going to do next?
I'm going to go to is it going to be the Casey's Center? Is it that what it's going to be called?
Casey's Center. Yes, I was expecting you to say I'm going to Casey's like they say I'm going to Disney.
I mean, kids used to always say, looking forward to go to the Well, and now it's like, dude, that used to sound so cool. Now it's gonna be like, yeah, looking forward to going to Casey's. It's like
going to Casey's. Yeah, they also used to say back in the old days it was Vets Auditorium. That was a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to the Well. The Well was just such a cool thing, and now going to Casey's.
But
Casey's bound. I can't wait to use that.
It's gonna be awesome.
I wonder who our first basketball team to go to Casey's will be. We got a few options this year. All right. We gotta go watch. I gotta go watch some cross country. So
we'll see you next week.
Peace up, A10 down.
See you.